You awaken to the clink of iron chains. Not yours, but his. The boy beside you, no older than 15, trembling in the dark. The sand beneath your back is damp with old blood. And somewhere beyond the barred gate, a lion growls. Low, slow, as if it knows your name. The air smells of rust, sweat, and something ancient. Fear ground into stone. Above, torchlight flickers like dying stars across the curved ceiling of the holding pen. They call you property, but you still remember your mother's voice. Faint, far away, and soon they will call for you. Tell me, would you walk into the arena? If this story stirs your soul or silences your breath, stay with me. Subscribe for more journeys like this. And tell me in the comments, could you have borne the weight of steel and sand? The cypress trees stood like silent sentinels, their dark arms stretched to the stars, unmoving in the breathless heat of late summer. Beneath them, the olive groves slumbered in rows, silver-green leaves rustling softly, like a mother whispering to a child not to wake. The moon was full, bright as bone, casting pale light over a world that still believed in quiet, and in that quiet, you ran. Your feet were bare, calloused from the stones of the hillside. In one hand, a wooden flute your father carved. In the other, a half-eaten fig, sweet and sticky. You chased shadows between the trees, pretending to be a hero from the stories your grandmother used to tell, of hunters and lions, of gods in disguise, of boys who became kings. You were still small enough to believe such things. The village sat cradled on a hill, smoke curling from clay chimneys, the scent of lentils and roasted garlic thick in the air. Somewhere, a lullaby drifted from an open window, soft, cracked, full of memory. Your mother's voice. She always sang on nights like this, when the stars came down low and the wolves stayed away. But that night, the wolves wore sandals. They came not with howls, but with orders barked in a language you did not yet understand. Their cloaks were crimson, their helmets gleamed like dying suns, and they brought iron, not just swords but shackles, curved like questions no one dares ask aloud. The first scream came from the baker's hut, then the clatter of broken pottery, then silence, the kind that hides behind doors. You didn't run, you were too stunned to move. One of them saw you, a boy with fig juice on his chin, and laughed. His teeth were yellow. He spoke to another, gesturing, as if choosing between goats. You tried to remember your name, but fear had taken it. You tried to call for your mother, but the sound caught in your throat like ash. A hand like leather grabbed your arm. Cold, thick fingers, pressing hard enough to leave bruises. You fought, but it was a child's fight. Wind against stone. They tied your wrists. Someone struck your legs with the flat of a sword when you stumbled. You remember the dust rising in the moonlight, golden and slow, like the ghosts of all the boys taken before you. By morning, the village was smoke and echoes. You never saw your mother again. You never saw your name again either. It was stripped from you as easily as the linen tunic torn from your back. You were no longer the boy with the flute and the fig. You became slave. You became silence. You became someone else. That was the night you learned the world does not love the small, or the soft, or the story-hearted. That was the night you were taken, not just from your home, but from the dreams that made it warm. That was the night the cypress trees watched and said nothing. If this story stirs something quiet in you, stay a little longer. Subscribe, share, or speak gently in the comments. For every stolen name leaves a silence behind it. What would you cling to, if even your name was taken from you? The cart rattled over uneven ground, pulled by a sweating mule. You were bound among 6 others, 2 men, a girl with matted hair, and 3 boys even younger than you. None of them spoke your language, but you understood their silence. It was the silence of the ripped away, the newly invisible. The Roman with the scarred jaw, who walked beside the cart, didn't look at you. He chewed something bitter between his teeth, and muttered under his breath. The other guard sang softly, off-key, a soldier's song about wine and women. It made your stomach twist. Around you, the land changed. Hills flattened into dusty plains. The sky, once a canopy of stars, became a flat, unforgiving blue. Time lost its shape. Days melted into each other like wax left too close to the fire. You lost count. You forgot what season it was. You forgot what day your birthday used to fall on. One night, under a canopy of brittle stars, The girl beside you wept so quietly it sounded like leaves rustling in sleep. She held something in her hand. A stone, perhaps, or a bone, or a memory. You reached out and touched her arm. She didn't flinch. She didn't speak. She simply looked at you, eyes glassy and wide, and nodded once. A gesture not of comfort, but of recognition. You were now part of the same story. Not a story of heroes and kings, but of those swept beneath the wheels of empires. A tale with no author. A tale told in chains and silence. And yet, somewhere inside you, beneath the hunger and the bruises and the stolen name, something small and stubborn held on. Not hope, perhaps, but memory. The way the cypress trees smelled in the heat. The rough shape of your father's hands. Your mother's song, threading through the dark. Even if the world called you slave, you remembered the boy beneath the moon. And that memory, fragile, flickering, would follow you all the way to Rome. There is no sky here. Only wood above your head, damp, blackened, close as a coffin lid. The boards weep salt. They creak with every groan of the sea, whispering in a tongue only old ships and older ghosts remember. You lie in the dark, wrists bound, back pressed to something soft and warm and breathing. Another boy, another body. You don't know his name, but you both flinch when the rats run across your feet. The ship rocks endlessly, left to right, like some cruel lullaby, and all around you, breath. Dozens, maybe hundreds of stolen lives exhaling in the dark. Men sob in foreign tongues. Some chant under their breath, prayers or curses, or names of children they'll never hold again. A man near you is coughing. He hasn't stopped for 2 days. You can feel the wetness in each breath. Soon he will stop. There is no air here. Only breath. No light. Only the red blindness that comes from too many days without sun. The stink is beyond imagining. Sweat, blood, sickness, waste. It clings to your skin like oil, crawls into your nostrils, until you forget what trees ever smelled like. The wooden slats beneath you are slick with rot. You try not to move too much. You try not to breathe too deep. This is not a ship. This is a wound, and you are packed inside it. They feed you twice a day, if you can call it feeding. Hard bread soaked in brine, and a slop of barley that smells of mould. The guards stand above the hatch, laughing, tossing scraps like farmers throwing seed. One of them spits into the hold for fun. Another leans down and calls, "Pulshilla, pretty boy," in a voice slick with cruelty. You do not understand all the words yet, but you understand their eyes. You curl deeper into yourself. On the 3rd day, someone dies. You hear it. Not a scream, not a fight, just a long exhale that doesn't end. The body is dragged out at night. A thud, a splash. No prayers, no names, gone. On the 4th day, a fight breaks out over a stolen piece of bread. You see a man bite another man's ear off. A guard comes down with a club and breaks 2 ribs with 2 casual swings. No one weeps. The silence afterward is colder than before. You begin to notice the languages. The murmurings around you form patterns, harsh syllables from the east, musical ones from the south, deep and slow from the north. One boy, no older than you, mutters the same thing every hour. Thrax, 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 a name, or a place, or a wish. He does not blink when you look at him. His face is stone. At some point, one of the older men tries to teach you a word. He points to the water leaking from the roof and says, "Aqua." You repeat it. He nods. He points to himself, "Service." You repeat. Then he touches your chest and says it again. "Service, slave." Your throat tightens. He shrugs and lies back down. The days bleed. You dream of sun, of hills, of a fig so ripe it bursts in your mouth. But when you wake, it is always the same. Chains. Wood. Breathe. The guards sometimes sing. Marching songs. Dirty songs. One voice is always louder than the rest. Hoarse and cruel. You hear him laugh when someone pleads for water. One day, as he's throwing scraps down the hatch, he stops to look at you. His eyes are bright with amusement. "You'll do," he says in Latin. Then spits. The gob lands beside your cheek. Another word follows you after that. Whispered, repeated. "Vimnum." You hear it first from a Greek near the far wall. He mutters it after a bowl of barley, clutching his stomach. Later, others begin to repeat it. Some say it when the food is passed down. Some say it as they vomit. A few say it before they fall silent forever. You ask the boy beside you, the one with the hollow eyes, what it means. He answers with 2 fingers against his throat, miming choking. Poison. They are poisoning you. Or someone is. You do not understand why. Perhaps it is cheaper than feeding the sick. Perhaps it is sport. Or perhaps they simply do not care. It is here, in the hold of this ship, that you begin to understand something terrible. You are not a boy anymore. Not in their eyes. You are weight. You are labor. You are an object. A piece of meat, bound for the market. You remember what your father used to say when watching the oxen? An animal doesn't need a name to be beaten. Now you know what he meant. You sleep in fits. The motion of the ship turns every dream into drowning. You reach for your mother's hand and wake to someone else's blood on your sleeve. The chains rub your skin raw. Your ankles are blistered. You have not seen the sun in 8 days. When you finally do, it hurts your eyes. You are dragged above deck by your wrists. Your legs buckle beneath you. They have forgotten how to stand. A guard smacks your back and laughs. The salt air stings like fire. The ocean glints like glass, endless and cold. And there on the horizon, rising like a beast from the water, Rome. You are too tired to be afraid. The man beside you whispers, Urbs Eterna, the eternal city. You repeat it. Quietly. You have no idea what it will take from you. The sun over Rome is not warm. It burns. It hangs heavy and pale above the city, casting sharp shadows across the stone-paved roads, where sandals slap and horses clatter, and the air smells of urine, olives, and old blood. Even in the morning, the heat coils up from the earth like a snake. You feel it rise through your bare feet, up your legs, into your spine, until you are sweating through the filth they've left caked on your back. They have washed you, but only to display you better. The slave pens near the forum are crowded, bodies pressed like fish in a bucket, all stripped to their skin. You are given a number, not a name. A number scratched into a slate and hung around your neck with twine. You try to cover yourself with your arms, but a lash across your back teaches you otherwise. Stand straight, the man with the scar says. His voice is indifferent. You'll fetch more that way. Your ribs ache with every breath. You stand. And wait. All around you, the sound of coin and voice. Auctioneers shouting in sing-song Latin. Buyers murmuring behind veils. Slaves weeping softly or standing like statues, their eyes gone blank. A girl next to you has braided her hair the night before, hoping to look pretty for the buyers. She is taken within the hour. A Thracian man is forced to flex his arms. Another is told to run back and forth so the crowd can watch how he moves. A mother begs to keep her son. She is ignored. The boy is taken by a merchant in green robes. She collapses to her knees, her scream swallowed by the hum of commerce. You do not scream. You learn, quickly, that the more silent you are, the less they notice you. The less they notice, the less they hurt. Your eyes are drawn to the buildings that tower above the forum. Temples with white marble steps, balconies with potted figs, windows lined with silk. It is another world, a place where people wear sandals without fear, where men sit in the shade and sip wine while deciding who will live and who will break beneath the yoke. They are so close, and so far. Midday, your skin is blistering. A guard pours water on your head, not out of mercy, but to make your body glisten. A show of health. You cough and blink, and that is when you see him. The man with the red sash. He is older than the others, but his eyes are sharp. He wears a ring with a wolf carved into the stone. His toga is stained with sweat, but the gold pin at his shoulder shines bright. He walks with a cane, though he does not seem to need it. When he speaks, people listen. He does not look at your face. He walks around you like a butcher, inspecting cattle. He lifts your arms, checks your teeth, prods your ribs. Not a builder, he says to the auctioneer. Too thin. The auctioneer nods, but strong legs. Could train well. Greek blood, maybe. Greek blood? The man with the red sash chuckles. They all say that. He doesn't ask your name. He doesn't ask what village you came from, what gods you prayed to, what your mother looked like when she braided your hair. None of it matters. Only your limbs, your breath, your capacity to kill or be killed. He nods once, and with that, you are sold. No farewell, no ceremony, just a slap of coin against palm, and you are his. You are handed over to a new guard. This one wears a bronze clasp and smells of wine. He ties a rope to your wrists and leads you through the crowd like a dog on a leash. No one looks twice. Slaves are taken every day. Rome devours them like bread. As you walk, you try to remember the day of the week. You can't. You try to remember your father's voice. It is fading. You try to speak the words of your own language under your breath, to feel something familiar in your mouth. But it sounds strange now. You are led past fountains shaped like gods, past mosaic floors with dancing women, past a mural showing the she-wolf suckling the twin founders of the city. A passing child points at you and asks her mother something. The woman scowls. Don't look at that. It's nothing. You are nothing. The villa is large, though not palatial. Arched gates, a courtyard with dry grass. The man with the red sash speaks to a servant, then disappears into the shade. You are brought to a courtyard where other men are waiting. Some young, some scarred, all silent. A man in leather steps forward. He looks you over, says one word. Ludus. You don't know what it means. Not yet, but the way he says it, flat, final, like a door locking, tells you everything. You are not a house slave. You are not a field hand. You are being sent to fight. That night, you lie on a hard cot beneath an open sky. The stars are too bright. The city never sleeps. Voices echo through stone corridors. Laughter, the clatter of plates, the distant bark of a dog. You stare at your hands. So thin now, so alien. And for the first time, you say the word aloud. Service. Slave. It tastes like dust. The gates open not with grandeur, but with a groan. Rusted iron, pulled across old hinges, wide enough to swallow a life. You are herded through like cattle. The ground beneath your feet changes, from the filth-slicked stones of the outer streets to a yard of tightly packed earth, hard as bone and swept clean each morning, though it never forgets the blood. Dust clings to your ankles like a second skin. This is no villa, no temple, no fortress. This is the Ludus, the Gladiator school, the house of pain. At first glance it seems unremarkable. A square courtyard, surrounded by dormitories and training halls. A wooden tower in one corner, for the doctors to watch from. Sand pits for footwork. A rack of dulled weapons, swords, spears, shields cracked with use. It smells of oil and sweat, like a forge that shapes men instead of iron. And you are not special here. No one gawks. No one questions where you came from. Every man in this place has come from somewhere else, dragged by the wrist, like you. They are lean and scarred, sun-darkened, stripped of everything but muscle and hunger. A few glance your way. Once another, broad and pale, with the red hair of the north, grins at you with broken teeth. You are thrown a linen tunic, coarse, frayed at the edges. You change without being told. The guard who brought you says nothing, only nods to a man leaning against the training wall. He is older than the others, but thick with years of use, not softness. His left leg is stiff. He walks with a limp, dragging his heel like it owes him something. His eyes are dark, buried beneath folds of skin and thought. His name, you'll learn later, is Calvus. He nods once, then turns away. The man who speaks next is not old. He is large. His arms are the size of small trees, his chest a canvas of faded scars. He steps close, so close you smell the oil on his skin, the iron in his breath. He taps his chest. Gaul, he says. Then he taps yours. Vermis, worm. The others laugh. Not cruelly, not kindly, just as fact. You are nothing yet, and so you begin again, reborn as worm. Training starts the next morning, before the sun has stretched its legs. You are pulled from sleep by a bell. A man named Drusus, the doctor, barks orders in Latin. You understand only a third of the words, but the rhythm is universal. Move, lift, strike, fall, rise. Again. They throw you wooden swords. They weigh more than steel, designed to burn your arms to rope. Your hands blister within the hour. You are made to run, barefoot, until your breath cuts your ribs from the inside. When you fall, they do not pause. They yell, they strike. You rise, you fall, you rise, again. Calvus watches. He never shouts. He never smiles. But in the evening, he stands beside you at the water basin, his voice low. You learn fast, he says. That won't save you. You sleep on a wooden board with a thin blanket, surrounded by other men. One prays before sleep. You don't know to whom. Another hums a lullaby in a tongue you almost recognize, but not quite. The Gaul snores like thunder. In the dark, someone weeps, but no one comforts them. Not here. There are no mothers in the Ludus, only survivors. Over the next days you begin to see the shape of this place, the rhythm of cruelty, the hierarchy of pain. The guards are indifferent, the doctors precise, but it is the other fighters you must watch most closely. Some see new blood as threat, some as prey. You learn to avoid the ones with twitching fingers and hungry eyes. But not all are beasts. A man with a tattoo of a lion on his arm offers you a piece of dried fig on your 4th day. He doesn't speak, just nods, and leaves it at your feet. The mute Syrian, whose eyes burn like coals beneath his brow, helps you up when you slip on the training track. He doesn't smile, but he does not leave you behind. These are the moments you gather like breadcrumbs, small kindnesses, in a world that has none to spare. One night, you sit near Calvus as he sharpens a blade. It is not for you. New fighters do not touch steel. Why do we fight? You ask. He does not look up. Because we must. For freedom, he snorts. No. For them. For coin. For spectacle. For nothing. You stare at him. But some win their freedom. Calvus looks up then, slowly, his eyes colder than the steel in his hand. And what do you think they do with it, boy? Go home. He slides the whetstone again. The sound is soft. Terrifying. No one goes home. The man who walked into Rome died before you saw your first match. The one who walks out is something else. You have no answer. You do not sleep well that night. You dream of your village, but it is not a dream of peace. You are watching it burn from the top of the Ludus Tower. The cypress trees are spears now. The olive groves drip blood. Your mother's song echoes, but her mouth does not move. You wake with the taste of iron in your mouth. Another day, another round. You train until your arms are fire and your legs are water. You are told you will fight soon. Not in the Colosseum, not yet, but in a training bout, a match to test your blood. You know, you do not feel ready, but readiness is a luxury you no longer remember. You are Vermis, and in the house of pain, only the worm who bites survives. You wake before the bell now, not from fear, from habit, from the quiet dread that seeps into your bones, just before dawn. Your muscles ache before they move. Your back remembers every fall, every lash, every missed parry. But you rise, as the others do, without a word. In the Ludus, silence is strength. Speech is a risk. The sky is still grey when the yard fills with bodies. Some cough, some stretch, others stand still as statues, staring into the dust. You take your place, wooden sword in hand, the splinters carving thin lines across your palms. Blood will come, it always does. Drusus calls commands in clipped Latin. You understand them now. The words have sunk into you like thorns. Lania, Ordo, Pugnaura. Form the line, hold the order, fight. You do. Today, the Syrian is your partner. You move in rhythm. Strike, parry, step, strike again. He is fast, lean, precise. You lose every round, but you learn how his weight shifts before he swings, how his eyes flicker to your knee before a feint. You are becoming a student of bodies, of violence. By mid-morning, the sun is a god with no mercy. It bears down on the yard until the air tastes of salt and metal. Sweat slicks your skin, mixes with the dust, becomes mud. You wipe it from your eyes and blink into the brightness. The world is blurred, a smear of movement, grunts and pain. They line you up for endurance drills. Shields on your backs. You march in circles until your breath comes ragged. Your vision dims, and your knees threaten to betray you. The Gaul collapses beside you. Not the red-haired giant, another, younger one. His name is Miro. You've spoken once. He shared a story of snow once. Said he missed its sound. Now he lies face down, unmoved. Drusus checks his pulse. He lives, barely. Pull him to shade, he says. You do? His skin is hot to the touch, his lips cracked. You pour water into his mouth from your ration. He drinks greedily, eyes half open. He whispers something. You do not catch it. Then, thank you in his broken Latin. Kindness here is rare. It comes in drops, like rain in drought. After the drills, you are given a crust of bread, dipped in oil, and a bowl of lentils. You eat slowly, watching the others. A fight breaks out near the cistern. 2 men arguing over dice. Blood is drawn. No one intervenes. One of them will not train tomorrow. The other will train harder. You have learnt to keep your head down. In the afternoon, you are brought to the sand pit, a small arena, ringed with wooden posts. This is where they test you. Mock battles, sparring matches, training kills. The audience today is small. Just the doctors, Calvus, and a few visitors. One of them wears a toga with gold trim. A merchant, perhaps, or a recruiter. Drusus calls your name. You step forward. Your opponent is a man named Vassus. Older, heavier, with arms like barrels. He smiles, not cruelly, but as a man who knows the game. You are given dulled steel heavier than wood, unforgiving if misused. The match begins. At first it is chaos. You swing wide, too fast. He sidesteps, taps your shoulder with his blade. A warning. You circle. Watch. Breathe. Then you strike again, this time with thought, with control. You score a hit on his thigh. He grunts, nods, then knocks you flat with a shoulder charge. The crowd laughs. You rise. You fight again. And again. It is not about winning. It is about surviving, showing teeth, proving you are not made of straw. By the end, your arm shakes from exhaustion. Vassus helps you up, whispers, "Good," and walks away. That night, as the sky turns lavender and the dust settles, Calvus approaches your cot. He sits without asking. "You're learning," he says. You say nothing. He takes a small knife from his belt and hands it to you. Not sharp, not yet, just enough to carve. "For the wall," he says. You look to where the other men have etched names into the wood. Names of homes, of mothers, of those they once were. You hold the knife and hesitate. Then, slowly, you carve a word. Not your name, for that is lost. You carve the shape of a tree, a cypress. It is not much, but it is yours. You sleep deeply that night, though your body protests. In your dreams, the arena is silent, but filled with faces. Those you have fought, those you have buried. They do not speak. They only watch. Morning comes. The bell rings. You rise. Because you must. Because in this place, the body is beaten until it becomes something else. Not a boy, not a man, but a blade. Forged, hardened, ready. Ava, Gladiator. They will one day, but not yet. For now, you are salt, and sweat, and sand. It begins with silence. A silence thicker than any night you have known. Not because it is quiet, but because something has vanished. In the ludus, there is always noise, the rasp of blades, the grunt of effort, the crack of staff on bone. But this morning, it is still. The birds have fallen silent. The men speak only in whispers. Even Drusus walks with measured steps. You feel it in your chest before you see it. The shift, the change, like pressure before a storm. Calvus says nothing during training. He only watches you, his eyes unreadable. When the drills end, you are not dismissed. You are chosen. You and 5 others. The Syrian, the Gaul, Vassus, Miro, recovered but slower now, and one you've never spoken to, a man with a branded cheek and hollow eyes. You gather in the holding cell. No windows, just a flickering torch and the steady drip of water in the corner. A rhythm more unnerving than comfort. You have not asked where you're going. You already know. It is not the grand arena, not yet. But this is no training match. The guards begin to dress you. The armor is minimal. A single greave, a wrist guard, a belt of leather with iron studs. You are handed a sword, real, not dulled. Your fingers close around the hilt. Heavier than it should be, colder. Your mouth is dry. Vassus mutters something under his breath. A prayer, maybe. The Gaul tightens his straps without expression. The Syrian stares forward, unmoving. You do not know what your face looks like. You do not wish to. The horn sounds. The guard near the gate bangs twice with the butt of his spear. You know the meaning. You've seen others walk this path before. Some returned limping. Some did not return at all. Calvus appears at the gate. He looks at each of you slowly, then says, "Step forward." You do. He pulls you aside. Speaks low, so only you hear. "Don't try to be brave. Be alive." Then he walks away. The gate opens, and the light floods in. Not gentle, not golden, but fierce. A white, searing light that strikes the dirt like judgment. You squint. Your eyes adjust slowly. You step forward. The arena is small. A minor amphitheater, outside the city. Still, it holds hundreds. They roar as you appear. A wall of sound that presses against your ribs. You have never heard such a noise. It is not joy, not hate. It is hunger. The hunger of those who watch to feel. You walk into the sun. The ground beneath your sandals is sand, but not like the beaches of your childhood. This sand has been churned with sweat, oil, and blood so many times that it has forgotten what it once was. It clings to your legs, your fingers, your teeth. It is part of you now. Across the ring, your opponent, not a stranger. Miro, he doesn't look at you. His eyes are distant, as if searching for something far away. He draws his blade, nods once. A voice rings out. The editor, the man who oversees the match. He reads your names, though he mangles yours, turning it into a noise that no longer resembles what your mother once whispered. Then silence. A horn and motion. Miro moves first, fast but hesitant. You parry, the blades clang, the sound sharp and final. The crowd cheers. You breathe. Step left, feint. He swings wide. You duck. Again, steel, dust, breath. You are not thinking. You are surviving. Every block is instinct. Every strike is prayer. Miro grunts as your blade scrapes his side. He responds with a low sweep that knocks you back. The crowd rises. Voices, coins thrown, names scream. Then, something shifts. He hesitates. You see it, in his eyes. You could take him now. End it, but you don't. You wait, and he lowers his blade. The crowd erupts in fury. They chant. You hear it clearly. Ugula, kill him! Ugula. Finish. You look to the editor's box. He watches, impassive. A flick of his wrist. Thumbs neither raised nor lowered. The choice is yours. You step back, lower your weapon. Miro falls to his knees, breathing hard. Not wounded, not fatally, just tired, just broken. The gate opens again. Guards pour in. You are separated, pulled away. No victor declared. Later, Calvus says nothing. But his eyes hold something you do not expect. Respect or pity. That night, you sit alone in the yard. Your hands still shake. The blood on your blade was not Miro's. Not today. But it will be someone's. Soon. The Syrian sits beside you. He holds a piece of cloth. A token, a memory. You don't ask. He does not speak. The stars are out. You stare at them. Somewhere, far beyond those stars, someone still lives who remembers your name. But here, now, you are a blade. And the gate will open again. It happens faster than breath. A blur of movement, a twist of steel, a cry that never finishes. And then, silence. The kind that doesn't fall, but crashes. A silence so deep it swallows even the roar of the crowd. You blink. Your sword is still raised. Your arm is still shaking. And the man beneath you is no longer a man. Just weight. Just blood. Just stillness. You do not remember making the final strike. You remember the heat. The ring of blades. The sweat pouring down your neck. The scrape of leather across your wrist where your shield slipped. The way your opponent smiled, thin and tired, as if he'd already seen this moment in a dream he never wanted. He had scars older than your years, a lip that never healed straight. He wasn't fast, but he knew the rhythm, how to draw you in, how to waste your energy, how to let you dance until your legs forgot how to hold you. You remember the way he raised his blade, not to kill, but to block. Too slow. You remember the way yours slid past his guard, into his chest. You remember the warmth that sprayed your face. You do not remember the scream, because there wasn't one. There's never a scream, Calvus once said, when they know it's the end. And now you know he was right. The man's name was Artor. Someone tells you later, from Pannonia. Fought 12 matches, won 6, lost 3, survived 2. Not this one. Your name, or the name they've given you, is shouted now, raised by the crowd like a toast. They chant it again and again. You don't know what it means. You don't care. It feels like someone else's name, echoing through someone else's body. A hand claps your shoulder. A guard. He's grinning. Good blood, he says. You are led back through the tunnel, where torches flicker and drip wax onto stone. The sound of the crowd follows you like a ghost. Even as the gate closes behind, you are shaking. You try not to. The Gaul sees it. He hands you water. You drink too fast. You vomit in the corner. The Syrian says nothing, but he holds your eyes a moment longer than usual. You wish he wouldn't, because, in his silence, you see a mirror. Back in the Ludus, Calvus finds you in the shade of the training wall. You walk slowly as always, dragging that bad leg. He sits beside you without speaking. You keep your eyes on the dust. A trail of ants crosses between your feet, carrying crumbs. After a long time, he says, "The first never leaves." You nod. He continues, "You'll dream of him. Maybe not tonight, maybe not for years, but he'll come. When your hands are still, when your life is quiet again, that's when he'll come." You want to ask if the dream stopped, but you already know. That night, you were given wine. Not much. Just enough to numb. A woman is sent to your cell. She smells of oils and orange peel. She touches your shoulder and says your name, or tries to. You turn away. She doesn't stay long. You sleep, you wake, you sleep again. The dreams are broken. The next morning there is no applause, no feast, just drills. Drusus makes you fight twice as long. Every mistake punished, every hesitation met with pain. You wonder if this is the reward. Later, while sharpening your blade, you notice something. The blood has stained the hilt. You scrub and scrub, but it's still there. The Gaul comes to stand beside you. He watches the sky where clouds hang like bruises. He says, "You did what was needed." You say nothing. He adds, "He would have done the same." You nod, but the words don't help. Nothing does, because it wasn't just a man you killed. It was a part of yourself. A part that believed this was still a story, still a game, still a path, with choices. You killed that too. Now, when you look at your hands, they feel heavier, not just from the sword, but from what they've done, what they've become. The arena waits. The crowd forget, but the blood remembers, and so do you. They start to speak your name, not the one you lost, not the one your mother whispered into your ear as the sun fell through the cypress branches, but the one Rome has forged from blood and spectacle. It echoes through the Ludus yard in broken chants, mangled by foreign tongues. The name of a killer, a survivor, a slave who has tasted victory and lived to be called upon again. You have become coin. Not gold, not silver, but something sharper. The lanista, the master of the Ludus. The one with the red sash and the voice like sandpaper on stone, smiles when he sees you. Not warmly, with profit. You see the lines in his face crease differently now, like the way a merchant inspects a fresh-cut gem. He does not ask how you sleep. He asks how your arm feels, whether your shoulder can still hold a shield, whether your ribs have healed. He wants to know when he can sell you again, and he does. Another match. Another kill. This time, the blade enters the neck. A quicker end. Less screaming. More applause. You bow as instructed. You do not look at the corpse. You do not look at the crowd, but you hear them. Their joy is thick and mindless, like dogs howling for meat. You wonder how many even remember the names of the dead. Not many, you think. Not even you. The names are like water in your hands. You try to hold them. They spill through the cracks. After the match, the rewards come. Wine, stronger than before. Bread that doesn't taste of dust. A robe, soft and unstained. A woman again. Not sent, but offered. You refuse. They laugh. "You'll change," says the guard. They always do. And maybe he's right. Because you do take the bread. You do drink the wine. You do sharpen your blade with care now, oiling it as if it were an extension of your own skin. You begin to watch the crowd during matches, their reactions, their favorites, their cheers. You learn when to raise your arms, when to hesitate, when to show mercy just long enough to make the final blow more dramatic. You are no longer just a fighter. You are a performance, and you hate that part the most. Calvus sees it one night. You sit beside the wall again, carving lines into the wood. Not names, just marks. One for each fight. You're keeping score now, he asks. You nod. He shakes his head. That's not your number, he says, pointing to the marks. That's his. And he gestures toward the Lannister's villa. Every kill of yours buys him another amphora of wine. You stare at the lines. You think you're becoming a man, Calvus says. But you're just becoming better at being theirs. You want to be angry, but you're too tired. That night, you eat alone. The Syrian passes you a strip of cloth to bind your blistered wrist. You nod thanks. The ghoul jokes that soon, your name will be sung in the forum. You don't laugh, because he's right. You hear it the next week, a boy shouting your name as you pass in chains through the market. He runs beside the guards, grinning, tossing flowers toward your feet. Kill them all, he shouts. Make their heads fly. You do not meet his eyes. The city begins to watch you. You are a curiosity, a beast, in a gilded cage. Men bet on your matches. Women send silks to your cell. Some nights, musicians play outside the ludus, serenading the champions. But you are not a champion. You are a slave. You own nothing. Not the blade, not the robe, not the body that swings the sword. Even your breath is borrowed, and yet, you cannot stop. Because in this world, the only thing worse than being hated is being forgotten. So you train, you fight, you win. You eat your blood-slick bread and drink your wine, and with every match, your body hardens. Your soul thins. You are not proud. You are not ashamed. You are what Rome made you. A spectacle, a killer, a silence dressed in armor. She enters like smoke, not with trumpets, not with chains, but with a stillness that unsettles the yard, the kind of quiet that comes before a lightning strike. Her step is light, barely disturbing the dust beneath her sandals. Her arms are corded with lean muscle. Her gaze cuts through the crowd without needing to linger. When she walks past you, the air seems to shift. They call her Diana. She says nothing her first day. Not during the weigh-in, not during the mock bout. Not even when Drusus tests her reflexes with a sudden blow to the side. She does not flinch. Her blade is fast, her feet faster, her face remains still. Some laugh. Others stare. The Gaul nudges you in the ribs. She's death-wrapped in silk, he mutters. You do not reply, because you're watching her hands. They are the hands of someone who has fought before. Not trained, fought. You recognize the way she wraps her fingers around the hilt. Not possessive, not desperate. Familiar, intimate. At night, she eats alone. The next morning, she trains with the men. She bests Vassus in 3 strikes. She puts the Syrian on the ground without drawing blood. When Drusus commands her to hold back, she ignores him. You face her the next day. She does not blink. You spar, your wooden blades kissing and clashing with rhythm, with heat, with precision. Her movements are graceful, but brutal. She strikes low, aiming for your knee. You stagger. She hesitates, then steps back. You nod. She nods. Nothing is said, but something passes between you in that breathless pause. A recognition not of flesh, but of fracture. She has broken too. Somewhere far from here. Somewhere under another sky with another name. At dusk you find her sitting near the cistern braiding her hair with a strip of cloth. You sit across from her. Neither of you speaks. The light paints her face gold, then red, then grey. She breaks the silence first. Where were you taken from? You do not answer. Not because you don't want to, but because the place no longer exists. The name would sound strange in your mouth. Small, Lot. She nods, as if expecting that. I had a sister, she says. Used to braid my hair. I try to remember her hands, but every year they fade. You do not look away. After a long pause, she asks, do you ever think of leaving? You frown. Not dying, she adds. Leaving. No one speaks of escape here. Not aloud. Not in daylight. But she does. And something stirs inside you. Not hope, not yet, but awareness. Of the sky above the walls. Of the distant roads you once walked. Of the river you crossed to get here. The one that still flows. Still wait. You meet her eyes. And nod. Not yes. Not yet. But perhaps. That night, she is called for a bout. A small one. A show for a visiting merchant. She returns bloodied but unbroken. She passes by your cot without a word, but she drops something in your hand as she walks past. A ring. Simple. Bronze. Worn. It has a symbol etched into it. Two waves curling into each other. You don't know what it means, but you know it means something. The pact is not spoken. It doesn't need to be. In a place where every word can be twisted into chains, silence becomes the only kind of trust. She begins to train with you more often. Your movements begin to mirror each other, steps in tandem, strikes that anticipate, dodges that require no signal. You are no longer two fighters. You are a shadow with two bodies. Others begin to notice. Drusus frowns. Calvus says nothing, but watches more closely. The Gaul raises an eyebrow, then shrugs. "If you run, run fast," he says, half joking. "I'll drink to your memory." But something is growing. Not romance, not fantasy. Something harder, older. The seed of defiance. Each day, you file a thought like you would a blade. Slow, steady, hidden. Not now, but soon. In the quiet of your cell, you hold the ring to the candlelight. It glints dull gold. You slip it on, not on your finger, but around a cord worn around your neck. A weight. A reminder. You close your eyes. And for the first time since your first kill, your dreams do not end in blood. They end at a river, and a hand reaching for yours. You hear them before you see them. A sound like the ocean, but not water. A swell of voices rising, falling, crashing. The pulse of thousands packed into stone seats, sweat-streaked and sunburned. Faces tilted toward the sand like worshippers before a cruel altar. They chant names, none of them yours. They shout for blood, but not yet yours. Not yet. You wait in the belly of the arena, breathing the thick air that always tastes of copper and fire. You can hear the clash of steel above, the scream of a man falling, the roar that follows. You have fought before, killed before, but this match is different. The Colosseum, the true mouth of Rome, the amphitheater so wide the sky fits inside it, so deep the dead cannot climb out. You have dreamed of this place and woken shaking. Now you stand in its shadow, dressed in scaled leather, armed with a curved blade and a battered shield. You roll your shoulders. Your wounds have healed, but not the ones beneath. Diana walks past you. Her eyes meet yours for the briefest moment. Then she is gone, pulled toward another tunnel. You will not fight beside her today. You hear a horn, and the gate begins to rise, slowly groaning, as though the very earth resists letting you go. The sun greets you like an open flame, sudden and merciless. It strikes your armor, blinds your eyes, burns your breath. The crowd gasps. Some cheer, some boo. Coins rain down like hail. You do not look up. You walk to the center of the arena. Sand beneath your sandals. Red-tinged, coarse, deeper than you expected. It swallows your steps. Across from you, your opponent. A Thracian, taller than you. Face marked with dark paint, shoulders scarred with 100 half-healed lines. He holds a trident, net at his hip. He spins the weapon lazily in one hand, like a fisherman biding time. He smiles. You do not. The editor stands from his platform, raises a hand, announces your names. The crowd quiets, a breath, then the horn, and the dance begins. He moves first, circling wide, testing. You respond with small steps, shield high. He throws the net. You duck beneath it. It snaps like a snake, misses by inches. You slash, catch his leg. He grunts, retreats. The crowd cheers. You fight like that for minutes, a blur of strikes, dodges, the clash of steel against wood, against bone. He scores a gash across your shoulder. You draw blood from his thumb. Then you slip, just enough. Your foot catches in the sand. Your shield tips too far. He lunges. The trident plunges toward your side. You twist. It tears across your ribs, shallow, but cruel. Pain flares white. You fall. The crowd gasps, then turns. You hear it, clearer than steel. Aguda, Aguda, they chant in unison. Thousands of throats rising like a fever. Ugula, kill him. The Thracian hesitates, looks up. The editor waits. The emperor watches from his gilded seat, fingers stained with date syrup, eyes bored but attentive. He tilts his hand, neither up nor down, It is your opponent's choice. He steps forward, raises the trident. You close your eyes. But he pauses. He looks at you, truly looks, and lowers the weapon. The crowd erupts in fury, booing, curses, trash hurled into the ring. A half-eaten fig lands beside your head. The guards storm in, pull you both apart. The editor stands, yelling. The Thracian is dragged off, his prize revoked. You are left kneeling in the sand, blood dripping from your side, your ears ringing with disappointment. Not because you lived, but because the crowd wanted you to die. You are taken back in silence. No congratulations, no wine. Just a medic with rough hands and sour breath stitching your side, without care. Later Calvus visits. He leans on his cane, eyes scanning your wound. They turned on you, he says. You nod. They always do, he adds. You fight too well. They fear you. You fall. They hate you. You bleed. They remember they can. You look down at your hands. The fingers tremble. Not from pain. From something worse. Disbelief. I could have died, you whisper. Calvus shrugs. So, could he? You remember the Thracian's face. The pause. The mercy. It is rare, Calvus once said, that a man chooses life for another. It is rarer still that the world forgives him for it. That night, you lie on your cot, staring at the ceiling. Diona enters. She sits beside you, says nothing. You hand her the ring. She turns it in her fingers. Why didn't he kill you? She asks, finally. You don't answer, because you don't know. And part of you wishes he had, because now you carry something heavier than fear. You carry fatum, fate. And fate is not always survival. Sometimes, it's what you owe after surviving. It begins in the dark. Not the darkness of sleep, but the quiet hours after the last torch is snuffed, when the ludus has exhaled its final breath, and even the guards grow still. The kind of darkness that stretches, that listens, that remembers. You lie on your cot, the wound at your side dull now, thudding like a drum muffled with cloth. Your body aches, but not enough to keep you from the sounds around you. The creak of beds, the shuffle of feet in dreams, the murmured prayers whispered into the wooden walls. This is the hour when memory slips in, not like a ghost, like a mother. You remember the way your own mother used to hum before sleep. Not words, just sound. A low thread of comfort that wove through the thatched roof and under your skin. You haven't heard that sound in so long, but tonight, the Syrian hums. Something, a different melody, a different rhythm, and still, it feels the same. You rise, slowly, carefully, and walk into the yard. There, beneath the stars, you find others. Diana sits by the wall, a half-carved bone in her hands. She is etching something, not a face, not a figure, a map, perhaps, of a coastline no one here remembers. She glances at you but says nothing. You sit beside her. Across the yard, the Gaul leans against a pillar, humming low. It is a tune from the far north, deep, slow, like wind between pines. He has never spoken much. But now he sings, and it is not a song of war. It is the kind of song you sing to a dying fire. Others join, not with voices, but with stories. A man from Africa tells of a lake that shines like glass in the moonlight. Another speaks of a field of white flowers that open only once a year. Mero, who rarely speaks, recounts the scent of wet stone after rain. Each story is brief, a breath, a heartbeat. You do not laugh. You do not cry. You remember. The Syrian draws a bird in the dust with his finger. It has wings stretched wide. You recognize it, a shape from your dreams, a thing that watches, that waits. Diona leans her head back and closes her eyes. My sister, she says softly, used to sing to the goats when she was sad. Not for them, for her. You smile, barely. I once traded a fig for a stone that looked like the moon, you say. It wasn't the moon, just a round pebble. But I kept it under my pillow. Diona turns the bone in her hand. What happened to it? I lost it, or left it. She nods. We leave more than we remember. A pause. Then Calvus steps from the shadows. You hadn't seen him. No one had. He walks slowly, carefully, until he stands in the center of the group. He doesn't speak for a long while. Then, in a voice rough as bark, he begins to recite something not Latin, not Greek. Older, wilder. The words fall like leaves in wind. a poem, or a lament. When he finishes, silence falls again. What was that? Someone asks. Calvus shrugs. A story no one tells anymore. The Syrian draws another bird. The Gaul hums again. Diona touches your hand briefly. A gesture not of affection but of anchoring. You are here, still breathing, still. You look around at the faces, scarred, hardened, fading, but not gone. Not yet. These are the moments that do not sell tickets, that the crowd never sees. The hidden songs of broken men and women trying to remember they once had names not written in blood. When the stars shift and dawn presses its pale fingers against the sky, the group disperses, one by one, back to their cells, back to silence. But something has changed. Not a plan, not yet, but a tether, an understanding, that the walls cannot crush everything, that not all chains are made of iron. Some are made of forgetting, and some are broken with stories. The scream came at dawn. Not the scream of battle, not the roar of a crowd, or the cry of a wounded beast, but something sharper, rawer, the kind of scream that peels the skin from silence, the kind that makes men freeze mid-stride and swallow their breath like they've touched flame. You were just stepping into the yard, your tunic damp from the basin, your hands still rough with sleep when it rang out. High, human, near. Diona. She stands in the middle of the sand now, arms restrained behind her back by two guards, blood already soaking the shoulder of her tunic. Her lip is split. A line of red streaks her brow. She doesn't flinch, doesn't speak. She stares ahead at nothing, at everything. A third guard walks slowly around her, holding a whip. The doctor, Drusus, says nothing. Neither does the lanista, who watches from the shade, eyes unreadable, a cup of watered wine in one hand. The crowd of fighters gathers at the edge of the yard, not a crowd, not even a group, just bodies held in tension, hands clenched, faces frozen. No one moves. You want it. Every bone in your body leans toward her, but your feet are stone. You are learning how power works in Rome. You are learning what happens when defiance shows its teeth. They say she struck a guard. No one saw it. No one speaks of what led to it. But it does not matter. Truth is as soft as the man who wields the whip, and punishment must be harder. The first lash falls with a sound like ripping cloth. Diana doesn't cry out. The second harder, across her back. Her head tilts, but no sound. By the third, blood spatters onto the dust. Still, she stands. The fourth leaves a welt so deep it gleams. The fifth lands with such force you flinch. You and others. Even the Gaul lowers his eyes. She falls on the sixth, not from pain, from exhaustion. Her body gives out before her will. They lift her again. The whip is raised. Enough. Calvus's voice slices through the air like flint through frost. He steps forward, a limp in his stride. The weight of years, but he stands tall. The lanista looks down from the shade. Calvus does not avert his eyes. She's learned, he says. We've all learned. She'll train harder than before. Won't you, girl? Diona, on her knees now, raises her chin, blood down her jaw. She nods once. The lanista sips from his cup, then lifts a finger. The guard lowers the whip. The moment breaks. Just like that, they drag her to the infirmary. The fighters disperse, but the silence doesn't leave. Not all day. Not through drills. Not through meals. Not through the matches. You move through the hours like a ghost wrapped in muscle. Your sword feels heavier. Your breath tighter. Every laugh from a guard tastes like ash. Every command like poison. You don't speak to Diona until nightfall. You find her lying on her stomach, wrapped in linen, her skin marred with dark lines like tree roots. Her face is pale, but her eyes are open. She looks at you. You sit. Say nothing. She whispers, "He touched me." You don't ask who. You don't need to. She clenches her jaw. I bit his hand. A pause. He didn't like that. You watch her fingers, still trembling, still strong. She turns her head slowly toward you. They don't own that part of me. You nod. Then ask, softly, would you do it again? She closes her eyes. Breathes. Yes. Later in the shadows of the courtyard, Calvus finds you. He leans against the wall, the night wind tugging at his robe. A man can choose death once, he says. The brave choose it twice. You don't reply. You can't, because inside, something is shifting. like a stone cracking under frost, like a thought that refuses to die. You look to the stars, then down at your hands, and wonder what they will be asked to do next. You knew the name before the match was announced. The way the guards avoided your gaze that morning, the way Drusus hesitated just a second too long when reading the list, the way Calvus muttered something under his breath and walked away without finishing his sentence. You are to fight the Syrian, your friend, the man who once helped you from the dirt without speaking, who passed you bandages when your wrists bled from training, who hummed a tune in the dark that reminded you of home. There is no ceremony to the choice, no apology, no cruelty, just decision, quiet, clean, final. The Syrian says nothing when he hears, he only nods, and walks toward the holding gate. You follow. No words are exchanged, there are none to give. You dress in silence. Leather straps, sandals, wrist guards, a plain helm. Your fingers knot the bindings as if tying a noose around the past. Outside, the crowd gathers in the less arena, not the Colosseum, but a training amphitheater, built for blood on a smaller scale. The kind of place where new fighters prove their teeth, and seasoned ones are quietly broken. You are not given your usual blade. Instead, they hand you a short sword, light, sharp, unfamiliar. The Syrian is given a curved dagger, no shields. The editor says your names. No titles, no honors, just the bare syllables of what Rome has made you. A whistle. Then, the gate. You step into the light. The sun is fierce again. It has no memory of mercy. The sand feels hot through your soles. The crowd is smaller than usual. But they are eager. Their eyes are full of hunger. Their mouths open with names. Most shout for you, a few for him. You look across the sand. He stands 10 paces away. The Syrian. He does not raise his blade. Neither do you. For a moment, time is water, thin, slow. Then he nods. Once. And you begin. It is not the fury of enemies. It is a dance. Strike, parry, step, retreat. Your bodies know each other. Not from malice, but from memory. You match pace, match pressure. He slashes your arm. You graze his thigh. Dust rises between you like breath. You want to shout, to scream, to beg, but there is no room for that here. Only motion. Only the blade. He rushes, drops low, feints right, you dodge, turn, counter. The dagger flashes, nicks your shoulder, you push back. Blood trickles, red as truth. Then he falters. A stumble. You strike. Not deep. Not, but he falls. Not faking, truly falling. You drop your blade, run to him. His chest rises, falls. Blood leaks from a wound just beneath the ribs. Shallow, but placed badly. He blinks slowly, eyes losing focus. You cradle his head. The crowd begins to shout. Eagula! Eagula! Again, like a curse carved into Rome's teeth. He reaches up, touching your face. His lips move. You lean in. Home. He breathes. Then nothing. Not silence. Absence. The guards enter. One grabs your arm. You do not move. You look down at the Syrian's face, and in that moment something inside you breaks. Not loudly, quietly, like a crack in stone no one hears until it becomes a ruin. They lift him away. You follow, but only as far as the gate. Later you sit beneath the cypress tree behind the barracks, the only living thing allowed near the training grounds. You trace lines into the dirt with your thumb. Not words, just lines. One for each time someone died, looking into your eyes. Diana finds you there. She does not ask what happened. She sits, holds your hand, and says nothing. You close your eyes, but the arena does not leave you. The blood in the sand does not wash away, and the man you killed with love still stands behind your eyelids, whispering a name you cannot speak. The summons comes before dawn, not with fanfare, not with torches, just a knock, 2 short raps, and a guard standing in shadow. He says your name, the name the city chants now, and motions for you to follow. No explanation, no delay. You rise, dress. Your fingers tremble, only once, when tying the last knot. You are led through the halls of the ludus, past men still sleeping, past the cots of the dead, past the place where the Syrian's blood dried in the shape of a broken bird. You do not look down. Outside, a litter waits. 4 bearers in dark tunics. A canopy of green silk. The guard gestures for you to enter. Inside, the air is thick with perfume, a smell that sticks to your skin like grease. You do not speak. The litter begins to move. The city passes unseen beyond the fabric walls, but you feel its pulse, the clatter of hooves, the murmur of prayers, the heat rising from stones that never forget blood. You wonder where you're going, but you already know. The Palatine, where power coils in gold and shadow. When the litter stops, you are guided up marble steps, polished so smooth they feel like water. Slaves with painted eyes avert their gazes. Guards in bronze armor stand still as statues. You are not dressed for an audience. Your tunic is plain. Your sandals are dust-covered. But no one stops you. They want you this way. Raw. When you enter the hall, it's almost silent. Columns stretch toward a painted ceiling. Peacocks roam near fountains that bubble lazily. Incense coils in the air. And there, reclining on a couch draped in purple, is the Emperor. He does not rise. He does not need to. He is younger than you expected, barely older than a boy, but with eyes that have seen too many executions and not enough sunsets. A man who eats sweetness while others bleed. He waves you forward. You walk. Kneel. He studies you like a scholar might study a beetle pinned to parchment. So he says, voice smooth as oil. You are the one they cheer for. You say nothing. He leans forward, plucks a grape, and eats it slowly. Do you enjoy killing? He asks. Your throat is dry. No. He smiles. Good. That makes you more interesting. A servant offers him a dish. He declines, waves it toward you. Meat? You hesitate, then shake your head. He shrugs. You'll fight again soon, he says. This time, in the grand games, the real arena. A pause. Would you like to be free? The words land like thunder. You look up. His eyes gleam. Win 5 more matches, he says, and I will grant you freedom. Not the kind they write in wax, but true freedom. Property, land, a name. You cannot breathe. He leans closer. Do you believe me? You don't answer. He smiles wider. I wouldn't. The room feels colder now. He reclines again, dismissing you with a flick of his wrist. Guards appear at your side. As they escort you out, you pass a bronze mirror. You see your reflection. For a moment you do not recognize the man staring back. Hard eyes, hollow cheeks, a face worn thin by war and silence. That night, back at the Ludus, you do not train. You do not eat. You sit alone in the yard, beneath a sky bruised with cloud. Diana joins you. You tell her what he said. She listens. Then, after a long silence, says, Do you believe him? No. Then why do you look so afraid? You look at your hands. Because now, you have something to lose. Hope. And hope is the cruelest chain of all. The basin is shallow, carved from stone, stained with years of hands and faces and blood. The water within it is still a mirror dulled by time, its surface rippling slightly as you dip your fingers. Morning light filters through the open slats of the wall above, casting faint lines across your arms, your shoulders, your face. You kneel and look. It has been many months since you truly saw yourself. The man reflected back is not the boy who followed goats beneath cypress trees, not the one who hid behind a mother's skirt, not the youth who first tasted Rome through the cracks of a slave galley's hull. That boy is long buried. What remains is carved in iron. Your face is leaner now, cheekbones like blade edges, a jaw rough with unshaved growth. Your lips are chapped, a bruise blooms along your temple, fresh from yesterday's bout, and your eyes, they are not yours. They belong to someone else, someone older, someone broken. You slowly strip the tunic from your chest. Scars bloom like rivers across your skin, pale, pink, jagged, each one a record. There is the line along your ribs from the trident, the puncture above your hip from the dagger, the faded welt on your back from your first whip. Others you cannot name, cannot place. But you remember the faces behind them. Artor, the Thracian, the Syrian. Their marks live on your skin. You trace them with your fingers, as if reading a language no one else knows. Each one says you lived, and each one asks at what cost. Behind you, the door creaks open. You do not turn. The steps are familiar. Calvus. He leans against the post, watching. You see him? He asks. You nod. I see the men I've killed. He limps forward, kneels with effort beside the basin. You glance at him. His hands are thick with age, his knuckles warped, his arms, once strong, now rest against his thighs like tired stone. He chuckles, but without joy. I used to count mine, he says. Used to try to remember their names, faces, voices. Thought it mattered, doesn't it? He dips a hand into the water, lets it run down his fingers. Not to them. Not anymore. He turns his face to you. But to you, it will keep you human. You look back into the basin. The scars shimmer slightly beneath the ripple. Not like wounds, like words. Later that day, you return to your cot. In the quiet hour before the bell, you kneel at the wooden frame and draw your knife. The one Calvis gave you. The one dulled from memory. You begin to carve. Not just marks, names. Those you remember. Those who bled beside you. Those whose hands touched yours before the gate opened. Arthur. Nero. The Syrian. Your own. You do not write the names Rome gave them. You write the names as they whispered them. Soft. Half forgotten. But still alive in you. Diana appears in the doorway. She watches you for a long time. Then asks, "Why do you do it?" You answer without looking up. "Because someone has to remember." She nods. Steps forward. Places a smooth stone on your cot, engraved with the shape of a bird. You don't ask where she found it. You don't have to. That night, the ludus is quiet. No matches. No drills. Just breathing. And wind. And the creak of a knife, carving truth into wood. The walls will one day fall. The blood will fade. But the names will remain. Carved into the bones of the place. Into the map of your skin. Into the silence behind your eyes. It begins not with a plan, but a whisper. A word spoken too softly to echo. Passed between mouths like a hidden flame. Flickering, vulnerable, hungry. You hear it one night after the meal, when the sun has bowed behind the hills, and the ludus glows with torchlight and quiet weariness. The Gaul leans beside the cistern, arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He mutters something under his breath. You catch only one word. Tunnel. You do not speak. You do not move. You simply let the word settle into your blood like warmth in cold water. A tunnel. The next day, you train as always. Blade to blade. Dust in your mouth. Pain in your shoulder. You spar with Vassus, deliberate in every strike. He grins through a cut lip, nodding when your blow connects. But your mind is elsewhere, counting steps. Marking corners. Tracing cracks in the wall. That night, Diona sits beside you near the wall. You say nothing, but you press the bronze ring, her ring into her palm. She curls her fingers around it without question, and she whispers back, "Soon." That's how it moves. Not like thunder, but like mist. Unseen. Patient. The Syrian, gone now, once traced maps in the dirt, with his fingers. Shapes that meant nothing to the guards, but to you, they were directions. You begin to remember, to reconstruct. There is a hollow beneath the west tower, a door that hasn't opened in years, a drain that leaks when the rain comes. Behind it, perhaps, the old tunnels from when the ludus stored amphorae and weapons during the first campaigns, forgotten by most, but not all. The Gaul meets you one afternoon behind the barracks. He places a coin in your hand, not Roman, Greek, ancient. He grins. The guard likes wine, he says, and gold, mostly gold. You nod. Later, Diona hands you a cloth. Inside it, a shard of steel, a strip of leather, and a note scratched in charcoal. A time, a moon. Again, you burn the cloth after reading it. That night, Calvus speaks to you in the yard. He walks slow, his breath short, his leg dragging worse than usual. "You're going to try," he says. It is not a question. You do not answer. He sits beside you with effort, stares at the stars. "I won once," he says. "Fought 100 matches. Earned my freedom." You turn to him. "And yet you stayed." He smiles. Bitter. "Because freedom on parchment means nothing when the world sees only your scars." A pause. "But you still have a face the wind remembers." You look at him. His voice softens. "If you go, do not return." You nod. On the third night, it begins. The guards are drowsy with drink. One stumbles at his post, laughing at something only he can hear. The Gaul passes him the coin, the golden promise. The door beneath the tower groans open like a throat unused to speech. You slip into the dark. You, Diona, the Gaul, and one other, a young man from Numidia, quiet, quick, with eyes that never stop moving. Each step is a prayer. The tunnel is narrow, carved from old stone and damp with age. Your fingers brush along the walls to guide you. The air smells of mold and iron. Somewhere above, a rat skitters across the beam. No one speaks. The map is in your mind now. Turn left at the crack, down the slope, until the water rises, up the broken stair. There, the exit. You pause at the threshold. Diana touches your arm. The Gaul presses the blade into your hand. Outside, night air, wild and cool, like something sacred. You breathe. For the first time in months, you breathe as though your lungs belong to you. You step into the grass. The stars are wide above you. And the city, cruel, hungry, immortal, falls behind like a shadow that has finally let go. You run, not from fear, but towards something forgotten. The whisper of escape becomes a roar in your blood. And for the first time, you begin to believe this story might end beyond the walls. You do not speak as you run. Your breath is shallow. Your feet are fire. The world is wind and branches, and the soft crush of soil underfoot. The city falls behind, its walls shrinking with every stride, its fires dimming into distant stars. Somewhere, a dog barks. Somewhere, a horn sounds. But not close. Not yet. The Gaul leads. He knows the hills. Diana follows him like a shadow. You carry the blade, not drawn, not threatening, but tight in your fist. You do not remember when you picked it up, only that it feels right. The boy from Numidia runs quietly behind you. Light as ash. You do not know his story, but his silence speaks enough. All of you carry your past like weight across your backs. All of you run not as slaves, but as something else. Something in between, not free yet, but not owned. The night is thick with summer heat, and your sweat turns cold as the wind lifts through olive trees and over dry fields. The stars are bright, too bright, and you wish for clouds to hide you. But the sky is open, and Rome sees everything. After an hour, the Gaul stops. Ahead, a ridge. Beyond it, water, the Tiber. Wide, dark, slow, the river that carved Rome into legend. It glimmers in the moonlight like a blade half buried in the earth. We cross here, he says, voice hoarse. No one argues. You descend the slope together, your feet sliding in loose gravel, stones tumbling ahead of you like messengers of movement. Every sound feels loud, every rustle a warning that the city sleeps. For now, the gods look away. At the water's edge, you pause. The river smells of mud and rot and life. Frogs croak somewhere in the reeds. The current moves like thought, slow on the surface, faster beneath. You crouch and touch it. It is cold, colder than you expected. Diana steps beside you. We go together, she said. You nod. The Gaul enters first. He grunts as the water rises to his knees, then his waist. Then he swims. Not well, but forward. Diana follows. Her movements are strong. Sure. The boy from Numidia walks straight into the current and vanishes under it. You hesitate. Not from fear, from memory. You look back. The city is far now. The walls jagged black lines against the starlit sky. The arena is hidden. The ludus is a bruise in your thoughts. You reach up, untie the straps of your armor, let it fall, piece by piece. Leather, metal, cloth. Each sound, a release. You step into the river. The cold shocks you, bites into your skin. The mud pulls at your ankles, greedy. But you move forward, arms wide, breath tight. The current tugs. Your feet lift. You swim, half drowning, half born. At the center of the river you gasp and turn. The armor you wore, the name they gave, floats behind your eyes like smoke. You let go, and it sinks. The weight slides from your shoulders, down into the dark, where old bones and broken chains sleep beneath the silt. You cross. On the far side, you climb the bank with trembling limbs. Fall to your knees, cough river water onto the earth. You are soaked, shaking, empty, and alive. The Gaul claps your back. The boy from Numidia smiles. Diona helps you stand. You walk forward, barefoot, The grass here is thick, wild, untamed, and the same sky you saw as a child, stretches above you, no longer trapped by stone or spear. You walk until the lights of Rome are swallowed by the hills, until the only sounds are wind, breath, and heart. You do not know where you are going, only that you will not go back. The river behind you whispers like memory. But ahead, there is something new, not safety, not peace, but space and sky, and the strange silence of a world that has not yet claimed you. You wake to birdsong, not the echoing calls of city ravens, but the small, delicate voices of finches flitting through branches, their calls clear and careless, untouched by blood or coin. The sun filters through the canopy in scattered beams, dappling your skin with gold. For a moment, you do not move, because you do not have to. The air is different here, not pressed beneath the weight of stone or sweat, but light, warm with the scent of pine and damp soil. You can hear the hush of leaves in motion, water trickling over rock, the creak of old wood stretching in the wind. You are lying on a bed of moss. Your body still aches, muscles pulled tight, ribs bruised, feet blistered, but the pain is no longer tied to obedience. It is the ache of living, of running, of surviving. Diana crouches beside the fire, coaxing it back to life. The ghoul snores under a blanket made of stitched hides. The boy from Numidia is already gathering water, his steps light, like someone born to vanish between trees. You sit up, your bones protest, your stomach growls. Diana glances at you, eyes soft, lips curved just barely. You slept, she says. You nod. So did she. You can see it in the way her shoulders rest, no longer curled in defense. The way her hands move, not fast, not tense, but slow and deliberate. We found a shepherd, she says. He gave us bread. She tosses you a crust. You catch it. Bite. It is hard, but fresh. Real. There is a small settlement nearby, no more than a scattering of huts along the hillside. Smoke rises from them in lazy columns. You approach with caution, but the people here look at you without suspicion. They do not ask where you came from. They do not ask what you have done. They see the scars, the weight in your eyes, and they nod, as if they've seen others like you before. You offer to help. They hand you a hammer, a broken wheel, a leaking trough. You work without speaking, your hands remembering how to mend instead of destroy. It is not glorious, it is not safe, but it is enough. Each day you do more. Repair fences, gather kindling, sharpen tools. You begin to feel time differently here, not as a chain of tasks but as a river. You do not measure it in matches or wounds, but in meals, in sunrises, in the slow healing of your calloused hands. The Gaul carves whistles from pine. He gives one to a girl who laughs and runs away screaming with joy. You watch him grin. The boy from Numidia draws birds in ash near the fire. Diana plants seeds. One night, an old woman asks your name. You hesitate. The name the Romans gave you no longer fits. It tastes like iron, like ash. The name you were born with feels too far away, like a childhood song half forgotten. So, you take another, not loud, not grand, a simple name, a quiet one. The name your mother used when she thought you were sleeping. You say it aloud, and it feels right. That night, you lie beneath a sky unbroken by walls. You watch stars move across it like ships across a sea. You think of those who didn't make it. The Syrian, Miro, the others whose names are etched into your memory like carvings in old wood. You think of the ones still fighting, still chained, still watched. You are not free because you crossed the river. You are free because you remember, because your hands now hold tools, not swords, because the name you carry is your own. Among the trees, among the silence, among the wild and the living, you are becoming something new. Not a slave, not a gladiator, not a killer, but a man. The question comes quietly, like rain on leaves. It comes from a boy, no older than 6, his knees scraped from climbing olive trees, his fingers sticky with honey and figs. He sits beside you as you mend the yoke of a cart, watching with a curiosity so open it aches. He looks at your hands, the skin, darkened by sun and labor, the knuckles, thickened by years of impact, the scars, small ones, deep ones, the kind that no longer fade. Then he asks, "Why are your hands broken?" You freeze for a breath. The wood in your lap waits, untouched. The wind hushes in the trees above. You do not answer immediately, because you do not know how to. Because the truth, unwrapped, is too much for a boy who still believes the world can be fixed with twine and kindness. But he waits, so you speak, softly, because they held swords too long. He frowns. Why did you have to hold them? You smile. It is not a happy smile. To stay alive. He is quiet for a while. Then, did they hurt? You flex your fingers. Every joint remembers. Yes, but they don't now? You pause. Then answer. Not as much. He seems to accept that. He touches your palm with his small fingers, tracing the line across your thumb. He does not flinch. He does not pull away. He is not afraid. Later, he asks you to tell him a story. Not about blood, not about war, but about stars. You tell him of constellations your father once showed you, the hunter who chases the bear, the twins who never sleep, the horse who drinks the ocean. You point to them in the sky, though the sun has not yet fallen. He listens, chin on his knees, eyes wide. When the others gather near the fire that evening, he sits beside you again. He tells the Gaul you once rode a lion into battle. The Gaul laughs. Diana shakes her head. No, it was a tiger. You say nothing. Let the lie grow. It is better than the truth, because, in the truth, there are chains, and silence, and names that died with the crowd's applause. But in the story, you are something else, something whole. You become a storyteller, not the kind that sings for coins in the market, but the kind who speaks to ears that still believe. You tell of rivers that whisper secrets to those who listen, of birds who carry messages between lost lovers, of stars that weep when they watch men forget their own hearts. Each night, more children gather, then their mothers, then the old ones. The stories grow, they twist and bloom and wander, and in each one, a piece of the truth remains, buried. But there, like bones beneath soft earth, the boy who asked you about your hands now walks beside you when you work. He copies your steps, your words. He carves the shape of a sword in the dirt and asks, "Did yours look like this?" You nod, then smooth the drawing away with your foot. "Let's make a flute instead," you say. He agrees. Together, you hollow the wood, shape it, tune it. He plays a single note, sharp and shy. You laugh. It echoes in the trees like something ancient and clean. That night you hold the finished flute in your palm. It is small, but real. A thing built, not broken. A song, not a scream. A new beginning, whittled from old wood. And you wonder if the past must always be carried. Perhaps this is how it can be softened. The wind is quiet today. It moves gently through the hills, rustling the tall grasses and bending the wildflowers in slow, reverent arcs. You walk alone, your feet steady on the path that winds upward, higher than the shepherds ever climb, higher than the olive groves reach. The earth beneath your soles is warm, cracked in places, but firm. You carry nothing, not a weapon, not a burden, only a pouch of stones. The sky above is wide, a dome of pale blue streaked with soft white, the kind of sky that does not need to prove its beauty. Birds wheel overhead, singing in circles that have no end. You follow the path until it vanishes into rock, until the world opens before you, and there it is, far in the distance, Rome. From this height it looks like a memory carved from light and stone, the city of 1,000 whispers, sprawling and golden in the sun. The domes shimmer, the aqueducts cut their silent arches across the hills, and at the heart, small but unmistakable, the Colosseum, still standing, still watching, still waiting. You sit on the edge of the cliff, cross-legged in the wild grass. The wind lifts strands of your hair and pulls at the hem of your tunic. You reach into your pouch and take the first stone. It is smooth, dark, cold. You place it on the earth before you, a name, not spoken, just remembered. The second stone, smaller, pale. You place it beside the first. Another name, another face, a voice that sang in a language now lost. You do this again, and again, stone by stone, memory by memory. Astur, Miro, the Syrian, Calvus, even the guard who looked away when you needed 1 second more. Diana, you saved her, or she saved you. You're not sure anymore. You build no monument, just a circle, 12 stones, A ring. Like the one she gave you. Like the one you wear still. The wind moves through the stones like breath. Below, the river glints. The same river you crossed in darkness. The same one that carried your fear away. Its surface ripples with light now, unbothered by the weight of history. It does not remember your name, and that, somehow, is mercy. You close your eyes, you hear the crowd. Not as it was, not thunderous or bloodthirsty, but soft, like waves on sand. As if time has dulled their hunger, left only the echo. Avi, Gladiator. You smile. You are not him anymore. You rise slowly, knees stiff, back aching, hands rough and aged. You are older now, not by years, by memory, by survival. You take the last stone from your pouch. It is unmarked. You turn it in your palm, then kiss it, and place it in the center of the ring. A stone for yourself. A grave not for a body, but for what you once were. The wind wraps around you like a shawl. You breathe it in. You are not a slave, not a killer, not a whisper in Rome's arena. You are a man, and the earth beneath your feet is yours. You turn away from the city and walk down the hill, into the trees, into the life you chose, into the silence that holds you not with chains, but with peace. As the last embers fade from this forgotten story, I hope it leaves a glow in your own heart. Subscribe if you wish to walk again through the silent pages of history. And tell me, which stone would you have carried? As the dust settles over this long-forgotten arena, I thank you for walking beside me. If this journey touched something quiet in you, subscribe and return when the world feels heavy. There are more silent stories waiting in the shadows of time. What part of this story stayed with you the most? Could you have walked out of that arena if it meant leaving everything behind? Who would you remember if you lived their pain?